It's the maiden F1 GP this year, 2026, with regulation changes. Albert Park, Australia Grand Prix, Mustafa, Lerato, Johnny, myself, Afolabi. Welcome back to F1.
All right. So this is the first race of the year, so there's a lot of stuff to unpack because we not only have to look at how the cars are and how the track is, we have to look at the XY deployment and all of that. But to get straight to it, let's first look at the track. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to predict the qualifying, then we're going to predict the race. The track is fast and flowing, high-speed track, front limited, which means it's going to wear out the front tires a lot more than the rear. Especially on the high speed corners, and you're going to see cars like Red Bull and also not McLaren, but Red Bull and Ferrari do very well on this track because of the pointiness of it. Also, you'll see Alpine do well because it's a high speed track. But we're going to start off with the qualifying. Now, the two fastest cars, to be honest with you, that would really stand a chance of doing well in the qualifying are Mercedes and Ferrari. I would put Red Bull there, but the problem with Red Bull is that it's been having sliding. The sliding is caused because Verstappen's setup, or the car setup, is very pointy and already has very little rear stability. But to make it worse is that the car has had problems when he's using the braking. He uses the braking a lot for downshifting and stuff. So whenever he uses the braking, it creates more drag. So this is going to affect Verstappen, especially coming into corners because we know he likes to use the downshifting and also in points where he has to do braking. So that's going to exclude him from the Ferrari and the Mercedes, which, to be honest with you, are faster than everybody else for one lap, other than Gasly in the Alpine. But Gasly's car may have a lot of straight line speed, but it's not that fast on corners. So let's start off by looking at what's going to happen with the two cars that are expected to do very well, Mercedes and Ferrari. Ferrari, given all things equal, is actually the fastest car on this track for one lap pace. It has a very good turbo to weight ratio. It's very good coming off of corners because it provides a lot of torque. But it's going to struggle against Mercedes in these areas, like where you see these tight corners, like at 13, at 11, at 10. Areas like that require braking, change of direction, and traction. And the Mercedes is more stable than the Ferrari. The Ferrari has a lot of downforce and is planted on corners, but that's going to help for places like 7, 8, or maybe I'm trying to find here from 9 to 10. It'll help. But in these areas with these tight corners, it's going to be Mercedes because it's a lot more stable, as I said. And all of this is negligible, to be honest with you. And also, it's been noted that Ferrari won't be bringing in its rear exhaust thing until week 6 because they're worried about what me and Falabi were talking about before, in which that thing might actually cause problems in transitioning the tail exhaust pipe. I mean, the exhaust winglet, because coming into a corner, if you all of a sudden turn that thing in, it's going to add too much downforce and lead instability. So without having that thing, they're going to still have less stability in the corners than Mercedes. So I'm looking at Mercedes doing very well. And from this area with the yellow is what is the yellow sector? Sector 3.
Sector 3.
Yeah, this is going to be beautiful for Russell because Russell likes to, so if you look at what's going on, there are a lot of tight 90-degree angles. That's great for Russell, who likes to drive linearly, knows where his braking zones are, knows how to brake, use the traction that the Mercedes car has, and use redirection. That's somewhere that he's going to do well. Leclerc is going to do the best probably in the blue sector 2, because that's flowing and doesn't have as much technical corners. And the red sector 1 is a mix of both, but I'm still going to give that to Mercedes because there are still some tight angles. 3, 4, 5 is very tight. So all in all, because George Russell is not, number one, he's a linear driver. Number 2, he does exceptionally well in timing where braking zones should be and in technical corners. And also because he's driving the Mercedes, which actually, when you look at it, has the best balance out of the two cars. We know that McLaren has a little bit more balance than both cars, but it's not as fast. So this is playing into Russell's hands. Likely be the fastest for Ferrari is going to do well, but this is not his track because it has too many tight technical areas, which are going to punish him if he just tries to go in all out. He's going to have to try to zones more than he would like. So this is not a Leclerc track. So I'm going to put Russell Leclerc P2. I'm not going to put Antonelli into this mix yet. I think he's still too young to deal with all of this. So the next question is, who's going to come out ahead between Lando Norris and Verstappen? Verstappen likes technical areas, but he likes technical areas in which there's not so much need for traction. So in other words, what Verstappen likes is tight corners, but he doesn't like too many tight corners. There's too many tight corners in the yellow sector, which are going to not give him trouble, but it's not the way he likes to drive. He likes to go all out into a hairpin or a chicane, but he doesn't like where there's just too many technical, where you continually have to make those turns. On the other hand, Norris loves that type of stuff. Norris likes to find just at the limit. He likes using braking zones and traction, especially since the McLaren car is made for it. So I'm going to give Norris P3 and Verstappen P4. Now in the battle, let's talk about, I'll quickly say that in the battle for the other top teams, the mid-roy, I'm going to give Gasly the edge over Bierman. Or Gasly, Bierman, and Hulkenberg will fight for winning, maybe P7, P8, P9, P10 for that area. They'll fight for that area. We'll look at Gasly's car, highest top speed out of any car on the grid. And then when you look at Bierman is driving he's going to do better than Ocon for whatever reason. I think he'll do better. Bierman is driving a car that's a Ferrari that has a very good engine, that also has some of the power that the Ferrari has. And I just think the Ferrari car can handle technical things better than the Alpine. The Alpine will do better on on a track that doesn't have as many technical areas like Sector 2 in Australia. They say Australia is fast and flowing. I would say 75% of the track is fast and flowing, but the 25 to 10% that isn't has really tight technical corners. So I think that's going to be the difference. And so that's why you're going to see Russell go higher than Leclerc, even though I think Leclerc will out-qualify him for most of the year. But it's those traction and the braking that's the big issue. We'll go into the race after we talk about qualifying. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, I agree with you, but my own pick for P1 is Max Verstappen Red Bull. And the reasons are not far-fetched, because the new regulations seem to emphasize energy management.
We're talking about qualifying, though, not the race. Yeah.
Qualifying, without a shadow, is going to be Ferrari because of their one-lap pace. Mercedes, over the long runs, very reliable. But Ferrari, one-lap pace, without a shadow of doubt, based on telemetry from Bahrain and testing.
Okay, can I add one thing? So you're right. Bahrain is a brittle track with a lot of sand on it, and it's more free-flowing. So the only reason I'll go back to this, I'm just letting you know this. The only reason I'm putting Mercedes ahead is because it has that part of the track that has two of its sectors have a lot of tight technical corners, and the traction and stability is more. And also Ferrari won't be having that winglet which they used in Bahrain. But go ahead.
Yeah, so basically I think Ferrari's power unit looks efficient. It looks drivable. Leclerc excels in very lively rear end cars, and then he's the one-lap king. Basically, Ferrari rarely starts seasons with sustained operational consistency across 24 races. But I think this time around, with what I've seen in Bahrain, I feel over one lap, Ferrari will be the team to beat.
So let me ask you a question. So you don't think that the fact that this track is not like Bahrain had a lot less grip. This track has more grip and also has more traction zones where you have to have traction and redirection, in which the Mercedes does better. You don't think that it's going to matter? You think that just in general, because this guy is better generally in qualifying and the Ferrari is better one lap, you don't think it'll make a difference at all?
Because in my own opinion, I don't know what Mercedes is doing really, because over the long run, they're very reliable.
No, we're talking about qualifying, not the long run. We're talking about one lap.
Yeah, one lap. I still think Ferrari would.
Okay, what are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I agree with Ferrari. Even like qualifying P1, and I can imagine Hamilton would have gotten a grip of the Ferrari by now, and instead of Leclerc, I'm going to put Hamilton up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a bet for this thing every week. I'm going to keep track of it. because you're going very counterintuitive, because Leclerc usually destroys Hamilton over one lap, and Hamilton is the opposite. He's better over race pace. in Bahrain, Leclerc was beating everybody for one lap. So you think that Hamilton can keep up with Leclerc in equal machinery over one lap? Not to mention Verstappen. Leclerc is considered the fastest point-to-point driver in F1. You think Hamilton at 42 can keep up with him?
Let's see what happens.
Well, I'm just asking. I'm just wondering because I'm wondering if guys are just using nostalgia or if we're looking at what's really going on.
Well, it's a bit of nostalgia, but I can imagine that he like now I'm sure one of the things also that we're getting apart from the car being messed up, but he would have been driving that car like a Mercedes. Every time he's been driving a Mercedes for years. So the inside when he's like in it, then he'll do some stuff that he would normally do when he's in the Mercedes, but he was doing it in the Ferrari, and that was probably slow him down because you could tell that sometimes he just reaches a point and he doesn't just go past that point again. And that's just.
It wasn't just that Hamilton was struggling because of ground effect airs. The cars were very low to the ground, and they were.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. But now it's worse. The tires are narrower, which means there's even less rear stability than before. And Hamilton likes rear stability. So it means that the problem that was causing him problems before is worse now because the tires are narrow and there's more torque. And on top of that, the car is made fronty for Leclerc, which means that it's less rear stability. But nevertheless, you believe that Hamilton can deal with it. Okay, what are your thoughts, Mr. Lorato?
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be interesting to see in terms of like this one lap pace. I think Leclerc is pegged to be the fastest still. If he doesn't mess up his laps, like we've seen him do before, if he doesn't over push, and I think in as much as Max likes to complain about the car and all these things, we know him to pull out like a lap out of nowhere when it comes to qualifying. So I wouldn't sort of write him off. I think someone like Piastri will also do well, given that it's his home ground. He's trying to redeem himself from last year, and if the McLaren is a little bit more balanced than what we saw in testing, if they did make any improvements, given that they have the same power unit as Mercedes, he should be in there with Russell. So I think those would be like possibly my top four: Leclerc, Russell, PSG, and Max.
Okay, so what you're doing is because I said that Norris would, but you actually have a point. So here's the thing: Norris actually prefers flowing corners, and Piastri actually does better on technical because he can slow down and take his time. Because we know that Piastri is very methodical.
And he's also very methodical. Yeah. So
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I do think should the car perform well, PSG might be able to upset the order a little bit, and then we'll see if really Red Bull is having problems, then that Max will then be there like around fourth or third.
Go ahead, sorry, I jumped in front of you. Go ahead.
And then we'll see exactly also. I mean, in terms of how strong the power unit from Ferrari is, if it could give someone like Hamilton a boost. Over a one lap pace, because we are talking about like 0.3 of a second difference in terms of qualifying between Q1 and Q2, kind of like Q3 and Q2, and that will make all the difference in terms of who can hook up the best lap in order to get that sort of pole position or front row advantage. But we also don't know how well that front row advantage is going to benefit.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the long race yet. We're talking about qualifying.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so Norris and Piastri, that's going to be an interesting one. I'm just still giving Norris the advantage because even though there are technical corners in this thing, overall it's still a high-speed track. But I wouldn't be surprised if Piastri qualifies. We have to remember, I think he out-qualified Piastri last year in this track, so I'm going to go with that. Also, when you get to tracks that don't have a lot of grip, Norris does better than Piastri. Piastri likes tracks that, but I think stability-wise, McLaren will still be there. I'm ruling them out of qualifying right now because it may look like they may not have the same aero and deployment as Mercedes. You know, they may have the same engine, but Mercedes has it integrated because they're the people who create the engine and then give it to the customer. But I wouldn't be surprised if I see Piastri or Norris in P1 or P2 either. Red Bull, I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm only holding back for Verstappen because they're saying there are issues with the car.
With the car, yeah.
And in general, Red Bull struggles every year, no matter what, on these things with the sliding. But Verstappen's going to come up with something. So if he comes
This
P1
is
or
exactly
P2,
what I'm saying. Like we always count him out because the car is bad, the car is slow, the car is oversteery or whatever, and then he comes up and he gives us something that is unbelievable.
The car is more stable than it was before. Yeah. Now I still see Russell taking this because of that technical part of the track. Russell is a linear driver. He uses the same approach from FP1 all the way to Q3, and he's not worried about getting fast times, and he always nails his last lap. Leclerc is a wild child and doesn't have a method, and even when you ask him, how did you do what you do, he doesn't know. And I just don't think that Ferrari car is that much faster than the Mercedes, especially since the rumor is that Mercedes did not use their full engine mode. And if they did, then you might be seeing Russell and young Antonelli P1, P2, but we'll leave it at that. Let's go to the race. So for the race, it's going to be, let's look at the two teams that I think are going to be in the front, Ferrari and Mercedes. Ferrari has great burst power. It doesn't have as much good deployment as Mercedes. It doesn't have as good race mapping. Right now, the Mercedes engine, they're not saying it's the benchmark for race mapping, but they're saying they're ahead of the curve research-wise, and it'll take the first couple of races before other teams get their GPS mapping of the race. Funny enough, Red Bull with their Ford engine also has very good mapping, and Audi has very good mapping. I forgot to mention that Audi, you might be seeing Audi coming P7 or P8 in qualifying, which is strange. But let's start off at the top. So I'm going to say that Mercedes, because they have a lot better tire deck, because we saw that Ferrari was burning their tires out big time. So what you're looking at is even if Leclerc starts in P1 and Russell's in P2, strategy is going to come into play. And we know that Russell is a professor. He's going to have the whole race mapped out. He's going to have impeccable strategy. He's going to have impeccable tire deck. And what's going to happen is going to be the tortoise and the hare. Maybe most likely at the start of the race, whether he's P1 or P2, Leclerc's going to go way out ahead. And then we're going to see just how good those Ferrari tires are. And also, here's the big whammy for Ferrari, something they haven't gotten a handle. Let's find out if they've gotten over their strategy issues. Because I can clearly see Leclerc fighting this race, and it'll be a race where you say, hey, is he going to be able to hold on, or is Russell going to pass him? So strategy comes into play. And also now with the having to use active aero, strategy becomes more important, and you're going to need that algorithm to help map out your race. So I'm saying that regardless of what happens in qualifying, Russell will come first, Leclerc will come second, and one of the McLarens will be fighting Verstappen for third or fourth. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Well, I'll join you to say that P1, George Russell, likely strongest if you look at the overall package, early season, Russell, I would tip for P1, very consistent, already delivered a championship level campaign without a title car. So strong brain for, energy deployment. P2, in my own opinion, I'll take Verstappen for P2. The new regulation, and my reasons are not far-fetched. The new regulations emphasize energy management, race IQ, and adaptability. These are areas where Verstappen excels. And then the Red Bull powertrains is even 95% of Mercedes output. Max becomes the difference maker. So mentally, he operates and excels at a level higher than every other driver. So I'm going to pick Max for P2. And P3, I'd say Lando Norris. Lando
So
Norris.
you have
Defending champion
Leclerc,
effect. The
you have Leclerc
champion
coming P1 and dropping to P4.
No,
Is that what you're
P4,
saying?
yes. I have Leclerc at P4. And the reason is this. Kamikaze, one lap pace, gung-ho, Ferrari power unit looks efficient and drivable, but you never know what Charles Leclerc would do. He likes to push it beyond the limit, and you never know. But I have him at P4.
I'm interested because you have him coming P1, and you think he'll fall so far back as fourth. Because I think that even if he comes P1 and Russell beats him, he's not going to beat him easily. He's going to pass him late in the race. So you have Leclerc starting off first and dropping all the way to fourth in a race.
That's what I have, basically.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny?
Oh, I agree with Mercedes P1.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's going to be Mercedes P1. P1,
Hamilton
P2.
P2 or P3, right? Yeah.
I think it's Mercedes P1, P2, and between Antonelli and Russell, I would say. That's what I would say.
I have to call you out, Johnny. The reason I have to call you out, I don't think you guys are looking at what you said for qualifying. You said that Hamilton will come P2 or P3.
Yeah, Hamilton's going to...
Antonelli will most likely come P7 in qualifying. So now you have Antonelli beating them all the way from P7.
Because
I have Lewis Hamilton P5.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's going to happen, and I just feel something's going to happen, and he's going to struggle, and because Mercedes are going to just dominate.
Well, yeah, I see that, but what I'm trying to say is that if you didn't, then how come you didn't have Antonelli in the top 3 for qualifying? If you haven't come second in the race. Just looking at that, because this is just speculation. The probability of coming from P7 and beating Leclerc, because you have Leclerc coming P1 or Hamilton or whoever, the probability of that is very low. That somebody from P7 will get on the podium against people in front of him like George Russell, Verstappen, Leclerc.
Yeah,
So you're telling me that the rookies going to come P7 and beat those guys? I don't see it happening. Now, what I do see happening is that if you say that what's his name, Antonelli is going to come P2 or P3 in qualifying, then I'll see it. But I don't see him coming from P7. Because he's going to have to go through traffic, and he's going to also have to play second fiddle strategy-wise. But we'll see, though. What are your thoughts on Mr. What are your thoughts, Larato?
Yeah, I think strategy is going to play a very pivotal role in terms of like where everyone ends up. Tire management is going to be the main thing that I think might ultimately decide the race. I think if anything crazy like anyone coming from 6th to 3rd happening, it will be because of those kinds of things happening. And if we do end up getting a safety car or anything, which is something that normally happens in Australia, and given that this is the first race of these regulations, I think there's a high likelihood that might happen.
But it's going to be chaos.
Yeah. But I think
I suspect a DNF.
Yeah. But I think I think either Russell, Leclerc, maybe with Lando close behind, or Max in 3rd. And we'll see. I'm also keen to see how well the confidence boost is going to be like post-championship for Lando, if his mindset is going to change at all. Because I remember us having this discussion in 2024 about whether his mindset was going to change. And he struggled through 25 to win that championship, even though he did win it. But it was very hard won, given that almost towards the end of the season, it was still like a three horse race between him, Piastri, and Max. So it will be interesting to see if that sort of gives him a boost, and that takes effect in the first race. And I think maybe Hamilton will be maybe fourth or fifth or something like that. And unless if the other cars have bad strategy or bad energy sort of harvesting and deployment, then we could see him on the podium maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mental problem. He's up and down, but I think that we have to remember this guy's not even 27 years old. So I think he'll get over a mental problem. The question is he probably doesn't have the car this year, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Because once again, McLaren, we know that they're going to be number one when it comes to stability, when it comes to tire deg and all those things. And they're going to catch up on the other things like aero or getting the deployment and timing right. To me, they still have the fundamentals of F1. The fundamentals of F1 is stability and balance.
And balance, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but let's talk quickly about the midfield. So I think the midfield